Hi guys, it's Juan. Welcome to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about how I got a job within 3 weeks after getting laid off from my previous software sales job. Alright, so the first tip has to do with creating your ideal criteria for the type of company you want to work for. So I know when you get laid off, it can be very scary, very anxiety inducing. I mean, it feels like every single week there's a big company that's laying off its workforce. So my first impulse after getting laid off was to apply to as many companies as possible, like shotgun style. And I felt like the spray and pray approach left me with no leverage or in control of my job search process. So I took a step back and I did some soul searching, and I found out that there's 3 things that really matter to me when I'm applying to a job. And number 1 was to find a company with strong product market fit. Number 2, a collaborative sales culture with a proven sales process. And number 3, a path for mid-market and enterprise selling roles. So once I created that list, I filtered all of the job listings I was seeing to make sure it matched up with those 3 non-negotiables. So instead of applying to everything that was on the table, I was more conscious of my applications, I was more deliberate, and ultimately I had more confidence psychologically that I was the one in control of my own destiny when it came to the job search process, as opposed to just putting out as many applications and hoping for the best. So I know that sounds like a very basic tip, but I think it's the most crucial, especially during times like this. I mean, I have a family to support. I'm sure you have your own responsibilities. But when you get laid off, there's that initial kind of scare, like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to provide? How am I going to pay the bills? Like, let me just apply to anything and everything that I can. But I think this is where we really need to take a step back and focus on what we want within a company. What is the value that we want to bring? And use this as an opportunity to land in a different job, in a better role, in one that we really feel that we can thrive in. So that's the first tip, is just narrow it down to the top 3 things that you're looking for. What are your values and what do you hope to see in the company that you apply? Now, the next tip to apply to a company is to treat it like an entire sales cycle. So I was applying for account executive positions, and that's a full sales cycle role. I'm responsible for prospecting and generating net new business for the company. So I treated the job search process in exactly the same way. So how does that translate tactically? Well, the first thing that I did was to find the recruiters and the hiring manager on LinkedIn. Most of the applications that I found was actually through the LinkedIn job page, and many of the times the recruiter would post their profile on the job listing in the bottom of the page. So that was easy to do, but oftentimes that wasn't the case. It was just a job listing and it didn't have a recruiter attached to it. So what I did was I went to the company page in LinkedIn and searched for recruiter and talent acquisition in the people's page. And then from there, I saw a list of all of the recruiters for that company. And I simply sent a connect request to all of them with a simple message. It's like, hey, I just applied to the account executive position that was posted on LinkedIn. I submitted my resume and I would like to set up an introductory call with you sometimes this week. So that was the message request that I sent. Oftentimes it was the right recruiter for the role and they would just respond to me right away and schedule a call. Other times though, it wasn't the right person, but they were happy to point me in the right direction of the right recruiter that was sourcing for that role. So that helped me book screening calls much faster. And again, it made me feel like I was in control of the job search process because I was just twirling my thumbs waiting for somebody to respond to me. I was being proactive and I was actually reaching out to the recruiters to set up those calls. And I found that that was actually a really good thing because it showed recruiters what you're capable of as a seller. That's what you're going to be doing day to day, is reaching out to potential prospects. So the fact that you're being proactive and reaching out to them, that makes their job easier because they want to find somebody that's capable of doing this job, that's competent, and you're proving it to them by prospecting them in this process. So that's the second tip. Treat the job search cycle like a sales cycle. And on top of that, I actually created a spreadsheet listing the applications in one row, the hiring manager in another, the interview round stage. So I treated it kind of like a CRM to make things organized and to really have everything centralized in one place. So that's the second tip, is to treat this job search process like an entire sales cycle. Now, the third tip is another obvious one, but it's probably the most important one. Do your due diligence. Research the companies that you're applying to. What I did was I actually went out of my way to reach out to the reps on LinkedIn after I applied to a company. I wanted to get the inside scoop of what it's like to be a seller within the organization, and not just take the company's word for granted, or at face value rather, when I read their posting, their values, and their marketing copy on their website. And I was surprised. I mean, some reps were really upfront and told me, like, run away fast, don't apply to this. And I kind of asked them, what do you mean by that? And they painted a different picture that the company presented themselves in the job listing and in their marketing content. Other reps had nothing but good things to say about it, and it validated what I was finding out in my research. So contact the people that actually work there and get some candid feedback from them, and you'd be surprised about what you hear. And the other thing that I recommend is looking at financial reports. Some of the companies that I was applying to were publicly traded. So I looked at their most recent quarterly earnings report from the CEO and CFO, and I was able to see the financial health of the company. In addition to that, that's also going to help you in the interview process with those hiring managers. When you bring up the fact that you already talked to reps and you got the inside scoop and you read financial reports, that helps you generate more insightful questions than the typical questions that they're always asked. Tell me about the quota attainment. What's the culture of the company? You can get a little bit more granular, like, I talked to this person here that works at the company and they mentioned XYZ. Can you elaborate on that? So it's very specific. Same thing with the financial reports. I saw that 85% of the revenue from the company came from these enterprise accounts. What are the other goals for the organization, or how are you hoping to kind of expand to new markets as well? So that gives you a more nuanced approach in your job search process. Well, there you go. Those are the top 3 tips to land a software sales job during a recession. As a brief recap, number 1, identify the top 3 criteria that you're looking for in your next company. Number 2, treat the job search process like a software sales cycle. And number 3, do your due diligence. If you like this video, give it a like. If you enjoy this type of content, subscribe to my channel below. I'll be posting more videos related to sales and getting a job in the software sales space specifically. See you next time.